Welcome to Dairy Robot Radio, the show that provides answers to your most pressing questions about dairy farming and automation. Each episode will focus on a major topic within the dairy industry and will feature experts throughout our industry and within Lely to help provide information and different perspectives on automation. And now, here's your host, Preston Vincent.
Welcome everybody, this is Preston Vincent in sunny California, sitting next to John Postma of Postma Dairy. Today we're going to talk a little bit about sizing of robots within a pen. Pretty neat to be able to sit here with John. John and his family are about a year into their venture into robotic milking. So within John's barn, they have 2 pens that are 2 robots, and they also have 2 pens that have 3 robots in a pen, making a total of 10 robots. So pretty good opportunity to talk to John to get some perspective from his point of view as to what he's learned in his first year about different sizes. So first I'll turn it over to John, let him do a little bit of a introduction, then we'll get into the subject.
Yeah, my name's John. I am one of 3 partners here at the dairy. My younger brother, who tackles most of the farming side of the dairy, and then my dad, who is kind of, I guess, on his way towards retirement. We've been dairying in Modesto for since 1971. That's when this farm was built and started, and milked conventionally in a parlor throughout. About a year ago, decided to go to robots after doing a lot of homework, realizing that the labor pressure was getting harder and harder. Wages continued to increase, and liked what we seen, so decided to make the move, and happy going forward.
Excellent. Yeah, and so you mentioned how you did a lot of planning in the process to bring technology, robotic technology onto the dairy. One of those big planning things is talking about robot sizes and how many robots should I have within the group, and then layouts and you name it. It's quite a fun process to go through. So why don't you tell me and tell everybody, why did you decide as a family to look at having 2 different sizes of robot pens within your barn?
Well, I think when we first decided to go out and look at robots, I think 3 robot pens were pretty new. So I think what it kind of all boiled down to for us was what we had to work with as far as our footprint. And we wanted to see if really was there a difference between 2 robot pens and 3 robot pens for future expansion, or when we're going to retrofit some other barns or what have you.
So with the footprint that you had, it naturally worked out well where you could have 2 of each, 2 3 robot pens, 2 robot pens, and not have to do too much within the home dairy site in regards to moving manure and things like that, or disrupting the infrastructure that was already in place.
Yeah, exactly. So we had a certain number of cows that we were taking from another dairy actually to bring over here. We wanted to get the most out of the space that we had and be able to still continue to milk that number of cows. That's kind of how it fit into our situation here. And then to see the differences between them, a year later. A big thing is cost of construction on building a barn. We were able and fortunate to build from ground up, brand new barn. When you're dealing with construction costs, the more you can get done while they're here, the better off you're going to be. So the 3 robot pens actually save you a little money there.
Yeah, definitely being able to have 2 robots within 1 robot room versus the singles. And just as well to let you know the type of layout that they have what we call the L design. They have the L design within the 2 robot pen, and they also have the long L within the 3 robot pen. So adapted the same principle, but just in the 3 robot pen within that 1 robot room, we're able to have 2 to, like John says, decrease a little bit of the construction cost and then fit into the footprint. So we've talked a little bit about how it's worked on a footprint perspective for the Postma family and John. Also too, the construction costs in the 3 robots versus 2. And then we also want to chat about the labor side and maybe even to the milk production side of things. And knowing that the Postma family and John are only a year into this venture, so still a lot to learn, and that's happening every day. But maybe John, if you can speak to the fetching perspective of what you've seen within your crew from a 2 robot side of things versus a 3.
So from within the crew and myself having to do it as well, I can say that obviously going through a smaller number of cows makes fetching simpler. You're just looking at less heads. 2 robots, you got 120 cows. 3 robots, obviously 180. 60 more cows is a big difference. So from that standpoint, the double robot pen is easier, it's quicker.
When you do your fetching routine, is it one person doing the fetch?
We have one guy doing the fetch, yes.
So that one person, he'd be doing a fetch within a 2 robot pen, and then as well, he'd be by himself in the 3 robot pen.
Correct.
And if you were to interview him, would he say the same?
He would.
Excellent. Yep, and John, you make a great point about the 60 cow difference. That is, you have 2 manure alleys to move cows to a robot to get that fetch complete. In a 2 robot pen with 120 cows, and again, in a 180 cow pen with 3 robots, you still have 2 manure alleys to move those cows up. So 60 more cows in those alleys can create some challenges to get it done quickly.
Yeah, and a little further walk as well. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot, but it's a little further.
You bet, yeah. So, probably if you put a little Fitbit on your guy, you'd see some data come back that way too. All right, so next, I guess, it'd be great to talk about the milk production differences. Have we seen any milk production differences in the first year between the pen designs?
I think if you look overall at the year, there's probably a slight difference in milk production. I don't think it's big enough to worry about. I think you're still getting great performance out of the robots. You will see that cows do like, on the double robot side, one robot over the other. So you will see by robot that maybe one does not perform as well. But I think overall it's pretty much the same.
Yeah, and then looking at the T4C data as well to reinforce that, yeah, just like John has said, there's no statistical significance between the two. John mixes up his 2-year-olds throughout each pen with mature cows, and there's not any one pen that's more heavily weighted towards one or the other. So you take that out of the equation as well, you can still see that there's not enough difference to warrant one being leader over the other. Clearly it seems to come down to the labor side. And when you're working the pens, you know, maybe somebody who has only 180 cow pens and 3 robots, that works for them. It's not enough for them to want to change it, but it's unique here at Postman Dairy where they have both, and you can see it, and there is that clear difference on that side of it. So John, have you ever thought about the option of maybe 4 robots in a pen, or 5 robots in a pen, or 6 robots in a pen? Because this is a discussion topic that we have internally within Lely and also with many Lely centers and dairymen across the country. And so just with your experience being a year in and 2 and 3, is there any desire to think or want to go any bigger than what you have?
Yeah, actually, my brother and I have pondered stacking 10 up on one end of a barn, to be honest. There's a lot of different ideas that you get in your head when you start working with robots. How can I make this different, or I want to prove Lely wrong? But yeah, if you're thinking along those lines, trying to get more robots in one pen, you gotta realize that you're gonna have to, I think, probably change designs, how you're gonna get those cows to robots as far as fetch cows and whatnot. Your sorting areas, everything's gonna have to be bigger. And I think that all goes back to what you are allowed to work with on your farm. I also think that you're gonna have more guys in that pen. I think one big thing is we focus on getting in this barn, getting our work done, and getting out of this barn. So is that time in that pen going to be quick enough to validate having more robots in there? Are you going to be able to get the work done in an efficient manner? That's what it all boils down to. We built this barn thinking that it was perfect before startup, and I think day 2 before startup, our consultant here came in and told us to add about 5 or 6 more gates in each pen. The goal is to be able to have 1 man per pen in here. And by doing that, we were able to accomplish that. Yeah, there's going to be other things that you're going to have to look at when you head that direction.
Yeah, so if you and your brother sat down and started drawing on paper and there was a way to put 4 robots into 1 pen and it could achieve the goals of being efficiently fetched, cleaned as well, and the robots could reside in maybe more than 1 room, that you guys would still be open to looking at that possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think as so much of it, the story is still yet to be told on what is the absolute way to milk cows robotically and how big and so on and so forth. We're still learning. Everybody within the industry will continue to learn as guys like yourself challenge us to do things differently.
Yeah, I think as more and more guys put robots in, we're going to hear a lot of new ideas, new challenges. I think lately it's going to motivate guys to keep thinking in that way, as far as, how can we get the most out of the least. It's going to be interesting. I look forward to it. One big thing that we've thought about even is trying to figure out how to make a bed pack barn work. Can you have a big enough space that's manageable enough to have 3 robots in and still be able to get fetch cows and whatnot? So yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of new ideas popping up here in the next few years that are going to be fun to hear.
You got it. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. We'll be excited to watch the story unfold in front of us, because as we all know, the ideas that we get at Lely to help build these barns and help advise on these barns come straight from the dairymen themselves, like yourself. So, well, thanks, John, for being a part of this podcast. Appreciate you taking some time and teaching everybody else within the community about what you've learned. Who knows, maybe in a year from now, we'll sit down, do it again, and we'll learn some more.
Sounds good. You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
You've been listening to Dairy Robot Radio, the show for dairy producers who want their questions answered by experts in dairy automation. Connect with us at dairyrobotradio.com to listen to all episodes and learn more about the topics and guests on the show. You can also find us on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and Spotify.